Hari Om. Bhajagovindam chanting verses 1 to 5.
Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhajamudhamate. Samprapte sannihite kale, nahi nahi rakshati dukran karane. Moodhajahi dhanagama drishnam guru sadbuddhim manasi vikrishna. Yallabhase nijakarmopatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Naristana bharanabhidesham drishtva magamohavesham. Etanmansavasadi vikaram manasi vichintaya varam varam. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam dadvajivitamati chapalam. Vidhi vyadhyabhimanagrastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam. Yavadvittoparjana saktah tavan nija parivaro raktaha. Paschajivati jarjara dehe vartam kopi na pritchati gehe.
Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu saha viryankaramavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. Shankara's contribution being so unique. Every master had their own unique contributions. For example, if you take Buddha, no one would have had that many number of disciples who are enlightened. Buddha had maximum number of enlightened students. It wasn't available for other gurus. If you take Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, that's a very unique contribution. You take Ramatirtha, that's a very unique contribution. You take every master had their own uniqueness. And Shankara's uniqueness we need to know first. We are studying what is, now people may ask, okay, what is great about Shankara? What is, so good about him? See, we know traditionally there are three disciplines. Essential spiritual disciplines were classified into three sections: karma, bhakti, jnana, or karma, upasana, jnana. But some of them classify it like that also. We in the modern language we use the word karma, bhakti, jnana. Vedic literature they use these three terms, karma, upasana, and jnana. This is Vedic language. Now, if you see Shankara's work, this is the first person who had organized religion. Before him, religion was not organized here. It was more of a personal one, or family maximum. Highest means it will be family, because the tradition is father to son, father to son, father to son. That's how the knowledge was handed over. So it is more of, family or personal, more or less. It is kept within these walls. But only when Shankara came into picture, the whole dynamics changed. Now his contribution in terms of total revival, hardly we see a single master could have achieved. And that too, when you see all that has been achieved within a matter of 32 years, something phenomenal. So when it comes to his contribution as Jnani, like Kabir, if you take, is more of a Bhakta. Mirabai, you take, is more of a Bhakta. You don't have much of course, they had Jnana. But you go to Kabir for advice, he will not give Jnana. You go to Mirabai, she will say, what study and all that. It's a waste of time. All that you have to do is what? Simply keep singing Krishna, Krishna. That is enough. If you go to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he will only say knowledge. No, he will say what? Bhakti. Now, if you go to another master, he would say what all these things, man? Karma. If you can't serve, what is the point? If you can't work, what is the point? Another group of people. Then you have another person saying that, it is Jnanam that is important. Another group says, what is the point of, karma or bhakti? Both are useless. Jnanam is important. And each one will be claiming their system is the best, which is nothing wrong in that. To say that, my mother is the best mother, nothing wrong in that. Great. But only problem comes is when I say neighboring mother is not a good mother, only my mother is a mother. That's where the problem is. When I say that my mother is great, there's nothing wrong in that. It is not possible for you to find a better mother than my mother. That is also correct. That is also, you can't say that is wrong. But only when I say that, therefore, all of you should do what? Should devalue your mothers and take only my mother to that. That's where the problem comes. So karma is not wrong. Bhakti is not wrong. Jnanam is not wrong. Problem comes only when you say only that. Now, where do you find a perfect fusion of all these three disciplines packed in one personality? You can't find a better example than Shankara. Perfect example of karma, work, a perfect example of bhakti, devotion. Because only after Shankara, this temple worship became popular. And he's the one who introduced a form of devotion. Panchayatana Puja, all that he is the one who introduced. To keep, 5 gods and worshipping them. Those things. And temple worship. Before that, temples were not very popular in India. Before that, it is only the Tirthas were popular. People used to go for Tirtha Yatra. That's all. Or Sthala Yatra. Hardly they go for temple. It is the place. The place is more important. Kashi is not. No. Kashi is more important than Vishwanatha temple. Incidentally, you go to Vishwanatha temple also when you go to Kashi. That's about it. Not that, people were going only for that. The place is important. Kanchi is more important. Dwaraka is more important. Puri is more important. Jagannath is secondary. Earlier. The places people were going. Or people go to this Tirthas. So either people were moving around more in terms of Sthala or Tirtha. Not much of this one. Kurukshetra, Bhumi they go. That's about it. That's all. You go to see Kurukshetra place, come back. That's it. So it's not that you go there for a temple there. No, that's not our main idea. Manasarovar you go, Kailash you go. That's about it. This temple concept and bringing that importance to the temples and creating the temples and making the temple as a central place is a phenomenal contribution by Shankara. Further being developed by other masters, but he is the one who had put the foundation for it. This puja systems and all that, and then wrote very many shlokas, stotras. This phenomenal work. This Saundarya Lahari, Shivananda Lahari, Subramanya Bhajagam and his works on Tirupati, Balaji. This name a god, he has written shlokas on them. There is not a single god he has missed. Every one he has covered. Every one of them. And not to talk about his intellectual contribution. Intellectual contribution of his is widely known to people. It was known as this contribution in terms of writing bhashyas. The first one to write the bhashya for Brahma Sutra. And he wrote commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads. 11 Upanishads he wrote commentaries. And not only that, very many independent texts also been given by Shankara, introductory texts, which were known as Prakarana Granthas, introductory texts, like Aprokshanabhuti, Viveka Chudamani, so many beautiful texts. Each one of them were so precise and so lucid, so clear. And then very, very simple ones also. Even for kids he has written. Balabodhini is also he has written in the form of question answers. Prashnottara Ratnamalika, one of this classical one. Tattva Bodha. These are all very simple. Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha. These are all very simple texts. Now some of you may be wondering, sir, when you took it, it was striking. It is we who complicated. The text is not complicated. Remember that. Text is a very simple text. Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, this, Prashnottara Ratnamalika and all these things are all beautiful, simple texts. And then we have his contribution in terms of establishing this 4 mattas. The first person to do that. Before him, there is no organized, I said. The 4 corners of India, he established the mattas. This north, south, east and west. So 4 mattas he has given, in fact, in this. And he kept 4 of his chief disciples, the first in charge of it. That's where known as the Shankaracharyas. Sureshwara, Padmapada, Totakacharya, and Hastamalaka. These are the 4 of them. Hastamalaka was made in charge of this Puri ashram, this Puri Matta. First one to take it up. Then even today we have the descendants. Who is next and all that we have. Same way, Sureshwara is the one who took the Sharada Peedam here. Sharada Matta. In Karnataka, we have that. And then we have this Padmapada Dwaraka and Totakacharya took this Joshi Matta. These 4. And then he himself took charge, established one in Kanchi, and he became the chief Acharya there. He took over. and then we have the descendants. Right. Now there are two opinions on this. There is a group of people who say no, that is not true, and then another group of people say yes, this is how it is. I am of the opinion that he is the one who took over the first one. That's it. You don't have to worry about why, how, what is the difference, and all those things. Why they say this, what is argument for it, what is argument against it, what is a proof for it, what is a proof for. That's not all. You don't need. All that you have to understand is that these four are traditionally accepted, and some of them don't accept the fifth one. Fifth one is what we have is the Kanchi Matta. And you may be wondering why I am subscribing that Kanchi Matta was taken over by Shankaracharya, because I belong to the Kanchi Matta. That's all. It's very, 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 very simple. So why do you believe like that? It is only because I follow Kanchi Matta. That's all. So since we all, our family follows Kanchi Matta, whatever they claim is what we also claim. Full stop. There is no necessity for me to go into further details of that research. Now, these four mattas established to continue this teaching of Shankara, meaning the Advaita philosophy. The first person to establish this four mattas and go through the whole thing. So his work, if you take, for him to go around the country, they say about 14 times he traveled across the length and breadth of India. I don't know how he managed to do all that in a matter of 32 years. To travel. You got to imagine this, we are talking about 2,500 years back. Now we are 2,500 years back for a person to go up and down. Fastest travel possibility at that time would be only horses, chariot. Chariots are not allowed for these people. At least if you were to be, some businessman or some king and all those things, he would have had a chariot. He would have, driven. That is also not there for these people. These people are allowed to travel only by what, sir? Foot only. By foot they can travel. That's it. For this man to travel that country, I don't know how he had managed to do all that. And every city, every temple he had actually visited and established the things there. So we have even today his arrival, his presence. He had come here, he has done this, he has done that. All these Tala Puranas, if you read, this local, stories, you read, they give reference to the reception being given to Shankara. They received him like this, he did this, he did that. Beautiful, things to hear. But we wonder how this man could have managed to do all that in a matter of 32 years. But of course, his work had started only after about 13 or 14. So you got to delete that also. So he has to finish all these things. In between, he wrote all these texts. I remember one of my colleague, sent me a list of texts ascribed to Shankara, supposed to have been authored by Shankara. And I started reading. After some time, I started scrolling. You started scrolling. You scroll down. Last, he had written one sentence. I'm sure you have not read all the text names. I said, correct. How do you know that? Because text name itself, we get tired. Now, how this man managed to write is something, unbelievable. Oh, such a great man's words these are to what we are listening to and what we are attempting to read. You have to understand this is not just any ordinary person who just says, a personality of such a great order has given us these words. What? Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam Bhajagodamate. Don't waste your time, man. Seek Govinda. Seek Govinda. His appointed time was very, very interesting one. This Shankara is supposed to have been, walking along with his disciples, and he sees an old man, memorizing, grammar rules, memorizing scriptures. Now, when we say that, what we have to understand is, see, in knowledge, there are two types of knowledge, says the Upanishads. This Paravidya and Aparavidya. Paravidya and Aparavidya. Local and higher. Now, all this materialistic sciences, all that knowledge that you can gain in the world is classified as Aparavidya. And what is very interesting is the scriptures gives the list also. What all the Aparavidyas is including there. First thing he includes in that is the 4 Vedas. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharvana Veda. All these 4 Vedas is what? Lower, he says. And then this Vedas and Vedangas. This Veda Anga, meaning along with the study of the Vedas, you study ancillary also. Like in the universities we do, no? Main is there and then ancillary. Similarly, ancillary study. That ancillary study also they keep along with that. That's another 6 they study. Another 6 subjects. Siksha, Kalpam, Vyakaranam, Niruttam, Chandam, and Jyotish. These are the 6 Vedangas. In that, what is very important one is this Vyakarana. Vyakarana is grammar. The study of grammar. And this grammar has got a Bhashya, which is known as Mahabhashya. Commentary on the sutras, he has written a commentary. Patanjali has written a commentary for that. The commentary is known as Mahabhashya. It's a huge one, that is. Huge Bhashya. Now, this Vyakarana study is considered as one of the essential one to the study. If you don't know grammar, how would you learn? Anything you want to learn, you have to learn only through language. If there is no language, there is no knowledge possibilities. Any language will have a grammar to it. Without a grammar, you cannot become an expert. Neither can you learn, nor can you teach. Teaching also not possible, learning also not possible. Without grammar. So the whole thing hinges on what's a grammar. Nowadays we see this with a lot of our modern spoken language courses. You go, first thing they teach is don't worry about grammar. You don't have to learn grammar. I say forget it then. So if you don't know grammar, if you don't understand, at least basic grammar you have to know. You don't have to become a Vyakarana Pandit. You don't have to become a grammar expert. But at least some basic grammar should be there. You see, otherwise it's difficult for us to learn. So any language you wanted to learn, any knowledge you wanted to gain, Vyakarana is very important. So they say you have to study Vyakarana. And then you have to study Chandas. And then you have to study, Niruttam. And then you have to study this. Because in the Vedic literature, they have a particular words being used in the Vedas. For that word, what is the meaning? That Vedic dictionary is called Niruttam. Chandas is a study of meter, etc. Now, this is the study of that ancillary subjects. Very, very important one is this Vyakarana. This is what Narada says in Chandogya Upanishad. A beautiful scene comes in Chandogya. Narada goes to Sanat Kumara to learn. He goes to Sanat Kumara and he meets Sanat Kumara and says, see, I have been studying, I've been learning, but somehow I am not satisfied. Something I always feel missing. So can you teach me? To which Sanat Kumara says, since you have been telling you are learning so many things, now please tell me whatever you have covered, I don't have to repeat all that, you see. So if you tell me whatever you have studied already, what is left out, I will teach you. I don't have to waste time, so because they don't keep wasting time. They say, let's not waste time. So you tell me whatever you have studied. And Narada starts giving a list of what all he had studied. And finally he concludes, on top of all these things, sir, I have completed Vyakarana also, he says. Which means, I studied all these things, also Vyakarana means it is something extraordinary. That also I have completed, still I feel incomplete. Sanat Kumara's reply is the best. More than what is interesting in that for me is, Sanat Kumar has, replied to that. Narada is, breathlessly he is speaking. This huge list he gives. After listening to the entire list, Sanat Kumara says, oh, I think I need to start from the scratch. You don't seem to have studied anything. So let us start from the beginning, he says. Narada finished, man. What nonsense is this? Like some of them, ask me also, sir, I have already studied, Bhagavad Gita. Now you are sending me this, Bhajagovindam class. Should we attend this Bhajagovindam class or should we come for this, next? I say, you start from Bhajagovindam class. Why, sir? Sanat Kumar. If Narada has to start from the beginning, from where you have to start? You have to start from negative only. This Vyakarana study is given such, height, such importance it has been given. And Shankara, it's not that Shankara doesn't know grammar, please. He knows. It's not that he had not studied grammar. He had studied grammar and he is a Vyakarana Pandit by himself. Many places he proves how smart he is in terms of this playing with words. So it's not that he doesn't know, but he says what is important. That's it. Now what we have to understand is this Apara Vidya, they are saying it is lower. Don't think that it is lower, therefore you got to dismiss it. No. It's not that you should not study those things. No. Then why there is a criticism comes into picture is, invariably, when you are learning this Apara Vidya, this lower knowledges, what we have to remember in mind is, this lower knowledge is a means to the end of higher knowledge. This study should lead me to the higher. If the study of this is not going to lead me to the higher, the study itself is redundant, we say. The study itself is wrong. We are not making the right progress. We are not making the right effort. So the study of this lower Apara Vidya should somehow direct you to the higher. If it is not directing you to the higher, then this Apara Vidya becomes an end in itself. Like you study computers. With the study of computers, what do? Like I see a lot of people today wanting to learn French. Why do you want to study French language? No, sir. French language I am studying. You know why? Because there are a lot of customers are coming from France. Therefore, I am studying French language. Suppose if customer starts coming from German, what do? Start learning German language. If this comes, so you are studying that, you are learning that language, but the question is for what you are learning. When we say that I am going to study this Shastra, you have to remember for what. If you don't have that link, if you are not able to make the connection between what you are doing to the end, that missing that link not establishing the right link is called moha, is called delusion. You are not able to establish it. That missing that is where we call as you are lost, you are involved. Then what happens, sir? The means itself becomes the end. Meaning, you start believing that by learning all these things, I have gained knowledge already. No, no, no. This study will lead me to that knowledge. Right? This study by itself is not knowledge. That's where we establish the distinction between this. I'll just give an example. Then it will become a little easier. Okay. First, try to get the idea. Idea is this. Example is next. Idea is when you will start taking this itself is this, as a result of which your pursuit itself will go chaotic. Bizarre. You would be moving in the wrong direction. Now comes to the example. Now, what do you mean by this, sir? What it means is, a blind man keeps asking, what is light? What is yellow color? What is white color? What is blue color? What is red color? What is the form of this? What is the form of that? Now, a blind person cannot get any answer to this question, or any answer he gets to the question is what? Is incomplete knowledge. And he starts assuming that as a complete knowledge. Whereas another person asks the question. There are two fellows, both are blind. Another fellow asks the question, sir, how to rectify my eyes? Tell me. How am I to correct my eyes? Both the fellows are asking quick question. First fellow is asking question, what is light? What is this color? What is that color? What is this? What is that form? All those things he keeps on asking. Right? Another person is asking the question. Now, who is proceeding in the right direction? That is all Shankara says. Now, this old man who is sitting there, he says, hey, before you go into the analysis of what color is this, what form is this, how do you say this is this color, how do you say that color, how this color is formed with the combination of this or with the combination of that, RGB or, CHYMK or whatever, color combinations we keep for everything. What is the foundation? All this memorization. Yellow color is formed through this, blue color is formed through that, red color is formed through this, green is this, white this is that, this is this. All that he can explain. All that beautiful explanations would be able to be provided by this person. Why? Because he has memorized all the color combinations study. Vis-a-vis, there is another person who has eyes. He went to the doctor, he got his eyes rectified, and he is seeing color. He may not be able to explain the formula of that color. How this yellow color came into picture. What is the equation? RGB equation, sir. What is the RGB equation for yellow color? What is the RGB equation for violet? What is the RGB equation for maroon? Blue and violet, what is the difference? All these things he may not be able to. But one thing for sure, what? He can recognize. This is different, this is different, he can experience that. Now, between the two, which one you should focus on first? Which is important? That's all Shankara says in this verse. He says, hey, don't waste your time on this. Focus on what? Turn your attention towards the rectification of your eyes. Don't worry about this grammar rules and all that. Otherwise, what happens? Through the study of all the scriptural things, more and more and more and more of reading of the textbooks, what happens is you will be carrying this borrowed knowledge. You will be borrowing knowledge from the scriptures, from the textbooks. Now, Shankara says, after writing all the textbooks, okay, that is why I told you in the introduction. You should remember. So don't think that he has not studied or he has not written. He had studied, he has written. He has written only for what? For people to study. It's not that he has just written for himself. It's not like, most of us, write this, diary. You don't write a diary for somebody to read. Okay. You write a diary only to vent out whatever you have. That's about it. This is what we do. Shankara did not write Bhashya for Brahma Sutra, the Upanishads, and he did not write, Vivekachudamani for himself. He has written for you and me to study only. Then why in Bhajagovindam he is criticizing the fellow who is trying to memorize scriptural studies? No. He says, what you have to do first, you have to do first. What you have to do second, you have to do second. You cannot interchange. You see, this prioritization, this is called intelligence. This is what in our language we call as intellect. Okay. In today's class you take intelligence, intellect same. Okay. Strictly we also distinguish. Intelligence is you gain. That's what he is saying here in Bhajagovindam. Don't go for intelligence, go for building your intellect. Don't go for study of colors, go for correction of your eyes. Get your eyes set perfect first. Then everything will fall into its place. Now this man assumes what? More and more of the study that I do from external, one big danger is there in that. The danger is I will start assuming that borrowed knowledge to be my knowledge. Because after that I can quote Shankara, Madhva, Ramanuja, Srikanta, Chaitanya, and then you ask me about Aristotle, I will explain. You ask me about what is the difference between, Hegel's philosophy and, Schopenhauer's philosophy, and where they match, where they don't match, where is Aristotle is missing. Wow, what is the difference between Aristotle's ideologies and where did Plato differ from Aristotle? And this one, that one, and Greek philosophy and Chinese philosophy and Buddhism and Jainism and all these things I can present. Since I am able to speak about all those things, you will start assuming what? Like most of you, end of the class, you go back with the thinking what? Oh, Ishwaran has studied a lot. Maximum what you can get is, you will get the belief what? Ishwaran had studied a lot. This is what the problem is with the scholarship. That doesn't mean you should not become. This is where the problem is. The moment we say don't do this, immediately we go to the other extreme and say, oh, therefore you mean to say that. See, anyone who is going to temple is not a devotee, is not a bhakta. When we say, immediately you conclude what? All those people who are going to temple are not bhaktas. And I am not going to temple. Therefore what? I am a bhakta. Now, what is the statement and what is the conclusion you arrive at? See, it's a total chaos. You miss the point completely when you go the other way. You just follow the teacher. That's it. You don't go ahead of him. You should not go in the opposite direction also. There are two mistakes students always make. Either they go ahead of the teacher or they go in the opposite direction. Now listen to what he says carefully. Shankara is not against this knowledge because this knowledge is a necessary one for you to go to that Paravidya. Proksha Jnanam is necessary for Aproksha. Now, without the Proksha Jnanam, you will not get that Aproksha Anubhuti ella will not come. See, that's not going to happen. But the danger is, he is only cautioning the danger involved in this. What is the danger? A good possibility is the borrowed can be treated as yours. It's like you take loan from the bank. What are you supposed to do? You take the loan, invest it in your business, do your business, make profit, and then repay the loan. Leftover profit is what your profit is, isn't it? I borrow 1,000 rupees. With 1,000 rupees, I do a business. I earn 1,100. I give back that 1,000 to you, and my profit is, how do I live my life? I live my life with 100 rupees. Right? This is where most of us have started making a blunder today. Entire world economy is in trouble. Why? Because of this reason. What did we do, sir? I borrow 1,000 rupees from you. I do business. Then I give it back to you, 1,000 rupees plus interest also. Let's say I give you 1,050 and I get to enjoy only what? 50 rupees. Right? I get 50 rupees only with which I have to live my life. Instead of that, what that fellow started doing? Borrowed money, no. Borrowed money, instead of investing in business, he started spending. The moment a person starts spending, what will happen? Borrowed money means the money is in the bank account. In the account, where is it, sir? It is credit only. In the credit, if money is there, assumption is what? It is my money, isn't it? That's where a lot of mistakes have been made. I borrow money for that business. Instead of that business, I have to adjust for something which is necessary, immediately required for another business in the group. So what do? I take this and put it there. Some mix match I do intelligently. This is what we all believed. We are planning it very intelligently. We are playing intelligently. Where are we right now, sir? Whole economy collapse. Business gone. Why? This is the danger of borrowing money. That doesn't mean everybody should do business only with their money. Nobody should borrow money. That is also not possible. Then what you should do, sir? That is a different question. Right? There is a formula for that also. How much you should lend and how much you should borrow. There is an equation they have. Before borrowing, first equation should be given to lending. When you lend means what, sir? I should be given a possibility to lend, assuming that money will not come back. It should not disturb my status. It should not disturb my bank at all. The bank will never have a problem even if the whole money is not coming back. That much should be allowed to lend. Problem solved. Now we say what? No. Doesn't matter. Give. And everybody started borrowing money. With the borrowed money, instead of investing, you started living out of it. The same mistake you will make at the intellectual level. The intellectual level, what do we do, sir? We borrow this knowledge from the scriptural studies. Now this you should do when you are young. As a brahmachari, this boy is supposed to borrow the knowledge from the scriptures. At that stage to do that is correct. Now, this is an old man sitting here. He says what? Now I'm going to borrow. No, now is not the time for you to borrow. You have to work in a different direction. Now is not the time. Like a lot of people come to me and say, sir, I wanted to learn Sanskrit. I ask them, for what? I'm not against learning Sanskrit, please. Okay. But I ask them, for what you want to learn Sanskrit now? No, so that, we can understand Bhagavad Gita better. I say, please. It's like a fellow comes and says, I'm going to learn English language. Why? So that I can read Shakespeare without commentary and understand it. Now, how many years of English language expertise would be required for you to read Shakespeare and understand him in English? Minimum 3 times of that is required for you to understand the scriptures directly and read them and understand them for you to learn. Now, then why do you want to spend your time and energy on all this thing? Invest the time that you have intelligently. Intelligent investment is what? He says, all these things will not save you, man. This is not going to save you. Then what you should do? Bhajagovindam. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam. Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. This Mudamate is my favorite one in that verse. So, fool. Very interesting one. Who is a fool? That is a basic question. When do you call someone a fool? Remember, ignorant is not a fool. A fool is ignorant. I repeat. A fool is ignorant. But ignorant person need not be a fool. All fools are ignorant. But all ignorance are not a fool. Now, Shankara is not talking about ignorant person. He is talking about a fool. He is talking about a fool is one who is ignorant but assumes to be knowledgeable. That is called a fool. Who is a fool, sir? He says, Mudhamate means a person who is actually ignorant, but he believes that he knows. That is called a fool. If you want to meet, go to a mirror. I want to see a fool. Where is a fool? I wanted to meet. Don't worry. Everywhere he is. All that you have to do is what? Just go and stand in front of a mirror. You meet, world's best. What is this? A fool. A fool is the one. That's what Josh Billings says. The trouble with most folks. The trouble with most folks is not so much so their ignorance as they're knowing so many things which aren't so. The problem with people is not their ignorance. The problem with people is what? The belief that they know. That belief that know is where you get that ego. Ignorant person doesn't have that ego. Remember that. That is why a child can learn anything faster. As you age, your ability to learn something new drops drastically. Why? Udana Shakti and all that is there. That apart. More than that Udana Shakti problem, essential problem is what for all of us? If you have to learn something, you have to accept that I don't know. That's why they say learn a new language. Why? When you have to learn a new language, you have to learn to utter the letters in a particular way. A, B, C, D. This is easy for you to say because this you have been saying for long. But suddenly if a fellow says, no, A, B, Te, if you have to say, what is this here? It looks like, it doesn't sound like alphabet at all for me. All these things sounds very funny. And you say things also when you are pronouncing those words, and invariably you will mispronounce. And when you are making a mistake, when you mispronounce, the instructor will be standing there, he will correct you. No, this is not the way to say it. This is the way to say it. This is wrong. This is not. No. And many a times you yourself will feel laughing. You know, that's how we had that popular one. We had that Mind Your Language. Have you seen that series? Mind Your Language. So funny. Yes. Hilarious one. Why? All this is what? Just play of language. Who are all speaking? All those people who don't know English come to a class to learn English. What happens there? That's all that the entire show is. It's hilarious. Why? Because it's difficult for you to change your way you are making sound. The tongue to twist and turn, the air to be blown in a particular way. All this is new and you will make mistakes. And when you are making mistakes, you will look like what? You look like a child, and which we don't want to feel. What I am a vice president. I am a businessman. I am a lawyer. You know, people stand up when I go into a court. When I walk in, stand up. You know, how great I am, how big I am. You are asking me to do this, asking me to do that. No, we can't do all these things. Why? That is called a fool. A fool is one who assumes that he knows. That's how he has an ego. Whereas the ignorant person will not have that ego. Now, from where your ego comes, sir? Your ego comes only because of your knowledge. That's what we say. Where does your ignorance hide? What is the hideout of your ignorance? Think carefully. You all believe that you are ignorant. No. Where is ignorance in you? Where is he? If you probe, you will find your ignorance is hiding under masked as knowledge. This knowledge. I know. I know this. I know that. I know is the hideout of your ignorance. Wherever you say, I know, you can be sure under that you will find there is ignorance. Your ignorance is there only. Why, sir? How do you say Ishwaran? I know will not keep quiet. If it is true wisdom, true knowledge, it will keep quiet. This I know will not keep quiet. I know will immediately take the next step. It further grows. The disease doesn't stop there. That's the starting point of the disease. The disease grows. It grows into the next phase. What is the next phase of it, sir? Next phase is I know means you don't know. That's all. Very simple. If I know, you don't know. That's what in every company we have this problem, isn't it? Every organization, vice president sales fixes the target. The salesman says what? Hey, what does he know, man? What is the market conditions? What is happening on a daily basis in the market? Only I know. This guy is simply sitting in the head office. Simply he goes to some meetings here, meetings there. They go here, they go there, and they do this, they do that, and come and tell me that I have to do all these things. We have to get all these things. Hey, I know this business much better than that fellow. This is what this fellow thinks. Why, sir? If the moment I believe I know in any field, the opposite person becomes what's automatic. He doesn't know or she doesn't know. Now comes a very interesting phenomenon. I know. Next step is you don't know. Then comes the third phase. I am superior. Understood. Okay. I know means I am superior. Is the superior person, who is superior? Knowledgeable or ignorant? Obviously, knowledgeable person is superior to ignorant person. So I am superior. That's the next phase. I know, therefore I am superior. Since I am superior, who is important? Are you important or am I important? For a company, who is important? This fellow will say what? I am important. Another opposite fellow will say what? I am important. Management will say management is important. Labor will say labor is important. Teacher will say teacher is important. Student will say student is important. Right? The student says what? Hey, because I am a student, you are a teacher. If there is no student, where is a teacher? Like the father tells a daughter, hey, without me you are not. She says what? Without me you are also not. Right? You are a father because of me, no? Right? If there is no son, there is no daughter, where is father, where is mother? So who is that? Now, I am important. If I am important, then I am indispensable. Now who is important now? The person who is superior, the person with knowledge important, the dispensable, or the person who doesn't know, who is ignorant, who is wrong. So I am right and you are wrong. If I know, I am correct. You don't know, therefore you must be wrong. So is correct required or wrong required? Obviously correct is required. Therefore, I am indispensable. So how the whole thing happens there? It starts with I know, then it becomes what, sir? I am correct. Then it becomes what, sir? I am indispensable. That is what every mother believes. If she is not there at home, the child will not study. Impossible. And everyone believes that. If I am not there, what will happen? If I am not there, what will happen? And this indispensability is demanded by your mind for you to do your basic functions itself, basic duty, basic obligation. For you to perform your basic obligations and duties, what is required, sir? That belief in you that I am important. If I am not, some loss will happen. Somewhere they will suffer. Now I genuinely believe what? If I am not there, what will happen to my wife? What will happen to my child? You. So they will. Now what we have to understand is what? Whether you are there or not, they know how to live their life. But the mind will always say what? No. I am very, very important. If I am not there, what will happen? And we have our own, from where the whole notion comes, the whole notions, all this, he packs in that one word, Mudamate, says, a fool. Fools believe like that. It's a false belief. It is a wrong belief. It's a wrong notion with which you live your life. Says Shankara, not me. Okay, don't say Ishwaran says that. I am not saying that. I am only saying what Shankara says. That's all. Yes, oh fool. all these things will not come to your rescue at the destined time. That Kala, when he comes and stands in front of you and says, "Come on, buddy, let's go." Now, all of us have this belief also. What is it? This will not happen to me today. See, I have enough time. I will say what? I'm only 40 now. I have another 30 years. And the fellow who is in 50 says what? I have got another 30 years. And the fellow who is in 20 will say what? Hey, I have got another 60 years. 20 says 60 years, this fellow says 60 years. Okay, you go and ask a fellow who is 80. He also says what? He says there, I have enough time. Enough time. Corona will not come to me. Why? I am at home. You may be anywhere. If he decides to come, he will come. Full stop. Now you can't do anything. He'll say, no, this will not come there. Why it is coming? Why this is? Why that? All these questions. Remember, it is got nothing to do with what you are and where you are. At an appointed time comes. All that you have gathered will be of no use to you, man. Therefore, what? See, this is where two group of people came into picture. See, whole diversion. See, the fact is only this. At that time, that can come any time. This is the problem. The moment we say this, immediately two groups came into picture. One group of fellows said what? Therefore, what you should do? Go and grab as much as possible. Another group of people will say, no point in grabbing all this, man. Useless it is. Anyway, it is useless. So drop it. Another fellow says what? Since you can lose it any time, grab it as much as possible. It's very interesting to see people. It depends on how you see it. Like this famous, story. There are few stories, which are very, very, favorite of mine. A psychiatrist goes to this de-addiction camp. Alcohol, de-addiction camp he goes. So before he started his, lecture to those people on the ill effects of alcohol, he took two glass tumblers of, one filled with alcohol, another one with water. And he took a live worm and he puts a worm in the water glass. Worm is crawling, it's just moving, it goes. And he takes the same worm and puts it in alcohol. It disintegrates and dies. And he is asking all addicts, what do you learn from this? Experiential teaching, not like Vedanta class, not like Bhajagovindam class. There he is experiential teaching he goes through. So he said, now what did you learn from all this? All those fellows stood up and said, what? They said, if you drink alcohol, all the worms in the stomach will die. Now what this fellow can do now? See, he wanted to tell them, by drink water, you will live. Drink alcohol, you will die. Instead of that, this fellow says what? If you drink alcohol, your worms will die in the stomach. Now what to do? Same way. Now, Bhajagovindam says, hey, this is not man, therefore what? You grab. Another group of people say what? They understand this and say what? No, man, this is not going to be. That doesn't mean immediately you say this is of zero value. That is why further explanation came into picture. Otherwise, further 12 verses is not required. Only this one statement sufficient. Bhajagovindam is sufficient. First mantra is enough. That first sloka is more than sufficient. Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modamate. Samprate sannihite kale nahi rakshati durkrankarane. This is not going to come and help you. What is going to help is only what? Govinda. Therefore, seek that. Entire teaching is over. There is nothing more you can teach in Bhajagovindam. This is how all this Vedantic texts are. Entire Isavasya Upanishad is over in the first mantra. Entire Kenopanishad over in the first mantra itself. Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manoyat Vacho Havacham. Full stop. Over. Kenopanishad is over in that. In the very first statement. Ashochanan Vasochastvam Prajnavatam Sabhasaje Gadasuna Gadasu Chananso Chanti Pandita. Entire Bhagavad Gita teaching is over in the first verse itself. First shloka, the whole thing is over. That is how the traditional method is. Teaching is, wherever they go for Upadesha, what they do is, they pack the whole thing in the first shloka itself. Very intelligent students will learn that and pick up and walk out. So, those who are not logging in to day after class, all intelligent students. What's that? We have understood. What is it? Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhajamudamate. That's all I have to do. What is this? All these secular pursuits, all these worldly acquisitions and knowledge and this and that, all that you are acquiring is of no use. What you have to do, sir? Seek the knowledge of the self. Gain that knowledge of the self. That's it. Problem solved. This is the problem. That is a solution. Like Ram Tirtha says, there is but one disease and one cure. The disease of ignorance and the cure of knowledge. That's it. Everything else is the problem is when he says that most of us miss the point. Therefore, further explanation is given. Those who cannot still understand it. Yeah, it looks like I'm capturing, but still it is slipping between my fingers. You see, it's like, it's like catching the air to some people. To some, it's like taking water. You take water in the hand. You can hold little in hand, when you take water from the river, you can hold a little. And same way, when you take stones, you can take much more. You can hold. So it depends on how you see it. If it is solid understanding to you, you can hold it. It's not so solid, sir, but it is quite visible to you. Water, like you can hold a little. That's what we call the students as three categories. Uttama Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, and Manda Adhikari. Dull student, mediocre student, best student. First shloka itself is sufficient for the best student. But further shlokas were needed because the students were all of little dull, Madhyam Adhikari. The Madhyam Adhikaris, further shlokas comes into picture to give explanation for what is that. So Shankara moves to the next verse. But next verse is only further explanation of whatever. That is why after every verse we read the first verse. This chorus. Chorus is studied along with every verse, in fact. Now we are not going to do that, but I'm only saying the traditional way they say how you have to do is because at any time you can jump back to this first verse. From anywhere you can come back to this first point. What? Therefore, every verse, therefore, what is it, sir? Bhajagovindam. Third verse, therefore, Bhajagovindam. Fourth verse, therefore, Bhajagovindam. Every verse you read, he will explain a particular dimension of life. You get some understanding. The moment you get an understanding, so Bhajagovindam. So Bhajagovindam. So Bhajagovindam. That is why this is done as a chorus after every verse. That's how the structure of the text is. So he says, seek that, man. Don't waste your time. Don't be a fool. Be ignorant. Nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong with ignorance. Remember, that is very important to understand here. He is not attacking ignorance. He is only saying to assume that you know when you don't know. That assumption is called Mudamati. See, so ignorance is not a problem. That's what Josh Billings also says. The foolishness is the problem. So therefore, go back to the first line. Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam. Hari Om.